Hi there, and welcome to a new episode of Extreme Banding, the slow YouTube camera channel dealing with various photographic nightmares. I am living in one of them right now, December in the north of Sweden. Weather is so-so, and the sun never rises. There's no time or place for photography, so what can you do? Think about which all-mechanical rangefinder camera with a cost below 1,000 euros you would like to use for the rest of your life, perhaps. In 1958, during the so-called Great Leap Forward, the Chinese decided to make their own copy of the Leica. It was produced at the Shanghai camera company. They chose to do a camera very faithful to the Leica III at first. That one was called the Shanghai 58. In 1959, they made an upgraded version called the Shanghai 58-2, which kept the original design but combined the viewfinder and rangefinder into one. It is speculated that the camera was produced with some help from the Soviets, or at least with some old parts from Zorkis and Feds. I do not know if they collaborated, but in many ways the Shanghai camera is more Leica-like than the Soviet copies. It has the Leica type of shutter button and the 1,000 of a second top speed. The shutter button of the Zorkis and Feds are kind of an upgrade to the Leicas though, as they are easier to fit with soft releases, self-timers and so on. The Shanghai 58-2 is very nice to hold, just like a Barnack. The size is 133 x 70 x 30. So only 3 millimeters taller than the original. And weight is basically the same at 415 grams. The only downside to gripping the camera is the slow speed dial. Design-wise, I really think this camera is a good idea. They chose to make the magnification 0.7 and keep the base length from the original, which made the effective base rather short, but more than accurate enough for the 50mm f3.5 standard lens. It is like a baby Zorki 3, something the Soviet rangefinder lineup is missing. The Zorki 5, which was produced in 58-59, was also a bottom loader with combined viewfinder rangefinder. But the Soviets chose to widen the rangefinder base, which led to compromises in ergonomics and size. The focusing experience differs between these cameras, and while the Zorki 5 is nicer, I would say the experience of focusing the Shanghai is nice enough, and keeping the size down is a good compromise, as long as you don't use focal lengths of 85 millimeters and above. So, is the Shanghai 58-2 better than a Barnack? The main problem of this camera is the build quality. The winding knob is a bit loose and has a strange sound when you turn it. The shutter itself does not inspire confidence either. And some way you sense the poor build already when holding the camera. If it is true that the Soviets sent some of the parts used, it would perhaps be in line with the falling out between those two nations at the time, if the help offered was of lower than acceptable quality. It is possible that there are other Shanghai 58-2s out there that are better made than this copy, but as they are quite rare and therefore a bit expensive, I personally do not think it is worth taking the risk. Adding to that, The advantage of the Shanghai 58-2 design is only a factor when using a 50mm lens. If you use other focal lengths, a Barnack Leica is in all ways superior. To conclude, instead of a great leap forward, the Shanghai 58-2 rather represents a small, wise and careful design improvement. Unfortunately though, the realization of the idea could have been better.